Celebrities in professional wrestling is not a new phenomenon. In fact, the practice even predates the rock and wrestling hysteria of the 80s, with local celebrities getting involved in territory wrestling from the late 60s and early 70s. However, getting involved is different from getting physical in the ring. Celebrities who actually stepped in the ring have produced wide-ranging performances, with some blatantly treating the business like a joke. We'll deal with those folks down the road. And only a select few putting in the work to lend credence to the business and make a concerted effort to excel in our beloved sport. Yes, I said sport. What? So, after a grueling process of elimination, we at Heel Turn Wrestling have narrowed it down and have ranked the top 5 celebrity wrestlers in history. Let's go! Number 5. Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny made his first WWE appearance at the 2021 Royal Rumble. He was a musical guest, though the performance was not to my taste. We're not here to judge the man's music. Later that night, The Miz would trash Mr. Bunny's equipment that was set up on the stage. This prompted Bad Bunny to not only assist in eliminating The Miz from the Rumble itself, but by climbing to the top rope and hitting a flying crossbody on The Miz to the floor. Wow! This interaction would ultimately lead to a WrestleMania tag team match where Double B and Damian Priest would defeat The Miz and John Morrison, with Bad Bunny being the standout performer in the match. He got the decisive pinfall for his team. What a performance! As an encore, the Naughty Rabbit would return as a surprise entrant for the 2022 Royal Rumble match, bringing some symmetry and closure to his WWE tenure. He managed to eliminate both Sheamus and Dolph Ziggler in an excellent cameo performance. Number 4. Pat McAfee. Retired NFL star and podcast host, McAfee began his wrestling tenure as a panelist for the NXT TakeOver shows. After being a welcome part of the broadcast team for several months, an interview with Adam Cole on his podcast went awry, with the two deciding to settle it in the ring at NXT TakeOver 30. McAfee would ultimately come up short in the contest, but rave reviews of McAfee would follow. McAfee would also compete inside the War Games, with his team again ultimately coming up short against the Undisputed Era, of course led by Adam Cole. McAfee has since gone on to be a highlight of WWE SmackDown as a colour commentator. This past WrestleMania, McAfee would compete in his first ever match on the grand stage, defeating Austin Theory in another highly acclaimed matchup, before minutes later being defeated by Vince McMahon in a, shall we call it, a low energy contest. McAfee for his part deserves huge credit for his application to pro wrestling. He has not only put time in at WWE's Performance Center, but he has enlisted the help of veteran wrestler and trainer Rip Rogers to coach him in his off time. McAfee is certainly a huge plus in the current WWE landscape. Number 3. Logan Paul. YouTuber and general annoyance, Logan Paul certainly knows how to get his face out there. This fact was not lost on WWE when courting him to be involved in the Sami Zayn vs Kevin Owens match at WrestleMania 37. After taking a post-match stunner from KO, Paul wouldn't be seen again until turning up alongside The Miz in the build-up to this year's WrestleMania. Logan Paul would team with The Miz in a winning effort, with Paul making a believer out of many doubters, myself included. With tremendous athleticism, timing, and very good in-ring psychology for a debutant, Paul had clearly put in the work and has credited WWE Hall of Famer Shawn Michaels with working with him to only further his in-ring cachet. Off the back of his debut, it was announced that Paul had signed a contract with the WWE. Although not a member of the full-time roster, the two subsequent programs involving Paul were both a critical success, with the less annoying of the Paul brothers picking up a victory over former partner The Miz at SummerSlam, and coming up just short in a spectacular match at Crown Jewel versus champion Roman Reigns. Although horribly miscast as a babyface, Paul is a serious athlete who clearly takes the business just as seriously. Number 2. Mr. T. The mainstream figurehead of the inaugural WrestleMania, A-Team and Rocky star Mr. T was one of the most recognisable people in the world at the time, and his star power courted him one of the biggest salaries in network television for his starring role as the plane-avoiding, fool-pitying, gold chain-wearing, hard-case Sergeant Bosco B.A. Baracus. T would first enter a wrestling ring to help his friend Hulk Hogan fend off a post-match attack from Roddy Piper, Paul Orndorff and their cohorts during an MTV and WWE TV special. This scuffle would lead to T and Hogan successfully defeating Piper and Orndorff in the main event of WrestleMania 1. Apparently not having resolved some of the issues from the year prior, T would return to defeat Piper in a boxing match at WrestleMania 2. Sure, Mr. T's in-ring escapades would not garner any rave reviews when watching through modern eyes, but throughout his entire run in the WWE, he both maintained his on-screen persona and held up his end in the ring. And this all happened in the main event angle of the biggest wrestling show in history to that point. By the way, did you also hear that Mr. T really loves his mother? And before we reveal our number one, a few honourable mentions to those who didn't quite make the cut. Shaquille O'Neal, Stephen Amell, Mike Tyson and Maria Menounos have all taken the business seriously and added to the matches and angles they were a part of, but all just missed the cut by a hair's breadth. Perhaps a top 10 was actually the way to go, but it's done now, so feel free to rank those guys in whatever order you wish, or leave your list in the comments below. There, sorted. And now, number 1, Andy Kaufman. To most, the other 4 entries on this list will be well known and have been well documented, having all taken place in the WWE. However, if things had gone differently, this entry could have also taken place under the WWE umbrella. In 1982, performance artist, prankster and TV star Andy Kaufman was in the midst of his memorable run as good-natured mechanic Latka on the hit TV show Taxi. Not blessed with the physical attributes needed for wrestling, Kaufman had integrated wrestling into his notorious one-man show in a very unique way, declaring himself the intergender wrestling champion of the world, offering any woman in the audience $1,000 if they could pin him. Andy Kaufman would keep his money, but Kaufman wanted to take his act to a wrestling show. For real this time. Kaufman was initially turned down by Vince McMahon Sr., citing not wanting to do business with those, quote, Hollywood types. Through a series of phone calls by mutual friend Bill Apter, Kaufman took his act to Memphis Wrestling. Initially, fans questioned why a national TV star would want to be part of their local wrestling show. It didn't take long for Andy to leave his mark on the fans and the wrestling business as a whole. After taking umbrage with Kaufman's comments towards fans and treatment of female opponents, in stepped local icon Jerry the King Lawler. Lawler vowed to take care of the loudmouth celebrity once and for all. Then came the match. Lasting all of 3 minutes, Jerry Lawler twice hit his patented piledriver on the braggadocious actor, leading to him leaving the building in an ambulance. After his run-in with Lawler, Kaufman would continue to make appearances on Memphis Wrestling, still needling Lawler for nearly crippling him. The feud would ultimately end on primetime television, with Lawler slapping Kaufman out of his seat on the set of The David Letterman Show. For his part, Lawler was roundly praised by all in the wrestling business for defending it from outsiders trying to mock it, but the rib, the joke, was on them. From the very beginning, Kaufman and Lawler had orchestrated the whole angle from start to finish, with not even those closest to the two men knowing for sure what was real and what was just part of the show. Even Lawler was caught by surprise when Kaufman, via the referee, demanded that he leave the arena in an ambulance. Maybe a taxi would have been more fitting. Sadly, Kaufman would pass away just 2 years later from lung cancer, and since then, a lot of facts have emerged about his run in Memphis as the dastardly, obnoxious Hollywood actor. Kaufman's manager, Bob Zamuda, has said that Andy had loved every second of his time in wrestling, wishing he could have done more in the business. Despite receiving a check of around $500 for every appearance he made, it would emerge years later that Kaufman never cashed one of his checks from Memphis Wrestling. Kaufman had money, Kaufman had fame. This was just his way of having fun, making wrestling history for free and leaving his mark on the business forever. And that's our video. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Hit the notification bell to be informed of new content from us, and follow us on social media. Thanks for watching. Catch you on the next one.